Hello, and welcome to Wisdom and Wealth, a channel dedicated to helping you navigate the complexities of life with clarity and inner peace. As the great Buddha wisely said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. This profound statement resonates deeply, especially as we journey through life's various stages. When life feels uncertain, when the future appears blurry, and your heart feels heavy, remember that it's not always the external situation that overwhelms us. Often, it's our own minds, the endless stream of thoughts, the imagined fears, and the relentless what-ifs that weigh us down. If you are enjoying our content, please like or subscribe to the channel. We will be posting more videos on similar content. In today's fast-paced and often chaotic world, Buddhism offers a rare and invaluable gift, a way back to stillness, even amidst the storm. It reminds us that peace isn't something to be chased or found in the external world, it's something we return to, a quiet place within us that has never truly left, only been forgotten. This video is designed for our mature audience, those of you over 40 who've weathered a few storms and are seeking deeper meaning and resilience. In this video, we'll embark on a journey rooted in ancient wisdom, a path that guides you on how to breathe again, how to let go of anxieties, and how to cease the internal war with your own thoughts. Take a deep, calming breath. This is your moment of return to inner peace and a new understanding of yourself. Consider liking or subscribing if this subject matter resonates with you. One of the most empowering teachings in Buddhism is the understanding that your mind isn't always your ally. It doesn't consistently present the truth. In fact, the Buddha often likened the mind to a wild monkey, constantly leaping from one fear to another, incessantly concocting stories based on insecurity, past pain, and anxieties. When you're navigating difficult times, your thoughts can become particularly loud and convincingly negative. You might hear internal voices whispering, "I'll never make it, I'm not good enough," or "everything is falling apart." But here's the essential truth, just because you think it doesn't make it real. Thoughts are not facts, they are mental habits, patterns that your brain has repeated over time, often rooted in fear rather than truth. If you like the content, consider subscribing, and if you are already, consider liking the video to support the channel. Buddhism teaches us to become observers of our thoughts, rather than simply believers in them. Instead of being pulled into every negative thought, you can take a step back and simply acknowledge it. Imagine your thoughts as clouds in the sky. Some are dark and heavy, others are light and fluffy, but none of them remain forever, and none of them are the sky itself. You are the sky, your awareness, your presence, your inner stillness, that's your true nature. The clouds are merely passing moods. So, when a worried or fearful thought arises, practice saying, "Ah, that's just a thought. It's not who I am. It's not the complete truth." Take a deep breath and allow it to pass without reacting to it. This practice, called mindfulness, is like learning to sit beside a rushing river without jumping in. The more you recognize your thoughts as temporary and separate from your true self, the less power they hold over you. Gradually, you'll discover a quiet confidence growing within, one that no fearful thought can dismantle. It is important to have the wisdom to separate thoughts from reality, and this can be achieved through practice. One of the primary reasons we experience so much worry is because we abandon the present moment and become lost in the future. We begin imagining all the things that could potentially go wrong. What if I lose everything? What if I fail? What if I'm not strong enough to handle this? These thoughts generate anxiety not because they're happening now, but because our minds are engaging in predictions. If you are enjoying our content, please like or subscribe to the channel. We will be posting more videos on similar content. But Buddhism teaches us something profound and simple: the future does not yet exist. The only thing that is real is this moment, right here, right now. The present moment is the safest place you can be. It's where your breath resides, where your body exists, and where peace thrives. When you anchor yourself in the present, even for a few minutes, your mind begins to slow down. You start to realize that in this moment, you are okay. You are breathing, you are alive, and you are safe. It's essential to understand that worry typically isn't about what is happening in the present, but about what might happen later. But the future is simply a mental movie, it's not occurring yet. Most of the time, the things we worry about never even materialize. So, instead of attempting to predict the future or control what hasn't happened, practice returning to the present. And remember to like and subscribe to see similar content. Buddhism encourages simple methods for this, such as mindful breathing, deeply listening to your surroundings, or paying attention to the sensations in your body. When your mind begins to spiral with fear, ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? Am I okay in this moment? Can I take one mindful breath? These small practices pull you out of the storm of what-ifs and back into the calm of what is. Because the truth is, you don't need to figure out the next 5 steps, you simply need to take the next breath. And in doing so, you provide your nervous system a chance to relax, your heart a chance to open, and your soul a chance to rest. As a result, you cease drowning in imaginary futures and begin living in real peace. One of the most significant sources of stress and worry is the desire to control everything around us. We want things to proceed according to our plans, we want people to treat us in a certain manner, and we want our efforts to guarantee success. But life rarely adheres to our plans. The weather changes, people disappoint us, and situations fall apart. Unexpected problems arise without warning. Now may be a good time to like or subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And when things don't unfold as we envisioned, we feel helpless, frustrated, or scared. But Buddhism teaches us a life-altering truth: attempting to control everything is a cause of suffering. Why? Because control is an illusion. The more you attempt to grip tightly, the more things slip through your fingers. It's like holding sand in your fist: the tighter you squeeze, the more you lose. True peace doesn't originate from controlling the external world, it comes from mastering your inner world. Here's what you can control: your breath, your response, your mindset, your energy, your actions, and your presence. You can't stop the storm, but you can choose to stand calmly in the rain. You can't prevent people from saying hurtful things, but you can choose not to allow their words to poison your heart. You can't guarantee success, but you can give your best effort, remain present, and let go of the outcome. In Buddhism, this practice is called equanimity, a balanced, peaceful mind that remains steady even when life feels chaotic. It doesn't mean you give up or stop caring, it means you shift your energy from controlling to responding wisely. And again, please consider subscribing to the channel. For example, when someone speaks with anger, you can choose to breathe instead of react. When your plans fall apart, you can choose to trust that a new path may be opening. When uncertainty arises, you can choose faith over panic. This isn't easy, but the more you practice it, the more you realize how powerful you truly are, not because you control the world, but because you don't allow the world to control your peace. So, when your heart feels overwhelmed, gently remind yourself, I don't need to control everything, I only need to control how I respond. That's where your strength resides, that's where worry begins to fade, and that's where true inner freedom begins. It's easy to look back on the most challenging moments of your life and wish they had never occurred. When you were at your lowest, whether facing loss, heartbreak, failure, or disappointment, you likely felt broken, alone, and unsure if you could ever recover. But here's a truth that Buddhism teaches us: those painful moments were not wasted, they were the bricks that built your strength, your compassion, and your wisdom. Think about a seed pushing its way through dark, heavy soil. Initially, it feels the weight of the earth pressing down upon it. It might struggle and crack, but without that pressure, it could never sprout. It may be worth subscribing to see content like this more often. Those very forces that felt like they were crushing it also gave it the power to grow upward toward the light. In much the same way, your most difficult days pressed upon you, but they also pushed you to become more resilient. Each time you experienced suffering, you had to confront difficult feelings, grief, anger, and fear. You may have wanted to run away, blame someone else, or give up entirely. But when you remained present with your pain, when you acknowledged it instead of hiding from it, you learned something invaluable about yourself. You discovered how deep your capacity to heal could be. You uncovered hidden strengths you didn't know you possessed. You learned that even when you felt powerless, you still had choices, the choice to breathe, to continue, and to reach for hope. In Buddhism, this process of transforming suffering into wisdom is called turning poison into medicine. Just as a skilled alchemist transforms a harmful substance into something healing, you transform hardship into understanding, empathy, and inner peace. Your worst days taught you humility because you learned that you are not in control of everything. If you are enjoying our content, please like or subscribe to the channel. We will be posting more videos on similar content. They taught you compassion because you now understand what it feels like to hurt, and you can extend kindness to others in pain. They taught you patience because healing never happens overnight. And they taught you gratitude, because when you finally emerged on the other side, you saw life's simple blessings with fresh eyes. So, the next time you're tempted to despise the past, remember this: each painful chapter of your life played an essential role in shaping who you are today. Without the struggles, you wouldn't appreciate peace. Without the failures, you wouldn't value success. And without the low points, you might never reach for something higher. Embrace your history as a teacher, not an enemy. Bow to the lessons learned, even the harsh ones. Because in Buddhism, every moment of suffering is an opportunity to awaken to your own strength, compassion, and the unshakable peace that resides within you. When life throws challenges your way, insults from others, unexpected setbacks, or moments of self-doubt, it's natural to feel an immediate urge to respond. Our minds are wired to react swiftly. Someone says something hurtful, and we lash back. A problem arises, and we panic. Yet Buddhism teaches us that every reaction costs a piece of our peace. Now is a good time to like or subscribe to the channel. If we allow ourselves to be pulled into every conflict, our energy becomes scattered, and worry takes root more deeply. Imagine your mind as a vast, calm lake. When a pebble is thrown, ripples appear. But if the lake remains tranquil, the ripples eventually subside. However, if the lake's surface is already turbulent, even the smallest pebble creates waves that grow and persist. In the same way, if your mind is agitated, filled with fears, frustrations, and unprocessed emotions, any external pebble, an unkind word, a sudden change in plans, or a reminder of a past mistake, can set off a storm of reactions. Buddhist wisdom encourages you to cultivate a state of inner stillness so that minor disturbances don't automatically trigger a response. This doesn't mean you become passive or uncaring. Rather, it means you learn to pause before reacting. In that pause, you create space to choose a wise response instead of an immediate, often knee-jerk reaction. When someone criticizes you harshly, your first impulse might be to defend yourself, to strike back, or to shut down. But if you breathe and observe your feelings, anger, hurt, or shame, without immediately acting on them, you give yourself time to see whether a reaction is truly necessary. Often, you'll realize that the words were more about the speaker's own pain than about you. By choosing not to react, you preserve your peace and your relationships. Consider daily annoyances: a long line at the store, a rude driver cutting you off, a notification that disrupts your focus. None of these moments deserves a full-blown emotional storm. Yet, when you allow yourself to react, clenching your fists, tightening your jaw, and your heart racing, you carry unnecessary tension. If this helps your inner peace, please subscribe to see more content. Buddhism teaches mindful awareness. Notice the irritation rising in your chest, recognize the impulse to clench, and then choose to let it pass. You might even silently remind yourself, this is just a passing moment. It does not need my full attention. In doing so, you free up mental and emotional space for things that truly matter. Another source of unnecessary reaction is the inner critic, the voice that judges every misstep and every flawed thought. When you make a mistake at work or fail to meet your own expectations, that inner voice says, "See, you're not good enough." If you react by spiraling into guilt or shame, you create further suffering. Instead, Buddhism invites you to observe that inner judgment as if it were someone else's opinion, just a voice that doesn't hold the ultimate truth. By not reacting to that critic, you weaken its power. You discover that self-worth isn't defined by every fleeting thought or error. Not everything deserves a reaction because most disturbances, both external and internal, are temporary. They flicker in and out like passing clouds. If you practice remaining centered, you realize that reacting to each one is like trying to catch every cloud in your hand. You end up exhausted with hands full of mist. This practice can start small. The next time you feel anger swell, place a gentle hand over your heart. Take 3 deep breaths and let the sensation settle. You might say to yourself, I acknowledge this feeling, but I do not need to act on it right now. Over time, this pause becomes a habit. You'll find that even when the world seems chaotic, people arguing, plans derailing, and unexpected news arriving, you don't immediately lose your balance. Instead, you maintain a calm center. Worry begins to lose its grip because you're no longer fueling every fear with a reaction. Ultimately, Buddhism teaches that true wisdom lies in discernment, knowing which things deserve your attention and energy and which things are merely passing disturbances. If you find this helpful, please like and subscribe. By refusing to react to every impulse, you conserve your inner resources, you protect your heart from needless pain, and you create a steady foundation of peace that even the fiercest storms cannot uproot. When you're in the midst of a crisis or struggle, it's natural to see the challenge as something to be avoided or defeated. You may feel trapped by circumstances, believing that the problem is a dead end rather than an opportunity. Yet Buddhism offers a radically different perspective. Every difficulty you face can be a gateway to growth and awakening. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, you learn to view them as signposts pointing you toward deeper wisdom. Imagine walking through a dense forest and encountering a fallen tree blocking your path. You could stand there frustrated, convinced that your journey is over. Or, you could walk alongside the tree, discover a small opening beneath its branches, and continue moving forward. In that narrow gap, you might notice new plants, fresh sunlight filtering through the leaves, or a hidden stream you never would have seen otherwise. The obstacle itself becomes part of your adventure, a lesson in adaptability and perspective. Buddhism calls this process, turning poison into medicine. Every problem has within it the seeds of its own solution, if only you're willing to look deeper. When a relationship ends, rather than seeing it as a devastating failure, you can ask yourself, what can I learn about compassion, healthy boundaries, or self-worth from this experience? When your career hits a setback, you can inquire, what hidden talents am I being invited to develop? What new direction might emerge from this challenge? If you are enjoying our content, please like or subscribe to the channel. We will be posting more videos on similar content. By reframing, you transform the energy of fear and resistance into curiosity and intention. This shift doesn't mean you pretend everything is fine when it's not. It doesn't deny the pain you feel. Instead, it invites you to lean into the discomfort long enough to discover its hidden gifts. Buddhism teaches that suffering reveals the roots of attachment, aversion, and ignorance. The very patterns that keep you trapped in cycles of stress and worry. When you face the hard truth of your pain, you gain insight into why certain situations make you suffer. Perhaps you realize that you've been clinging to a specific outcome or that you're resisting change because it feels too uncertain. In recognizing these patterns, you begin to loosen their grip. The practice of reframing also involves trusting that the universe has a wisdom beyond your immediate understanding. When the Buddha was confronted with painful questions about life and death, he didn't try to force answers, he sat in silence observing the nature of reality. In your own life, when a problem arises, pause and breathe before reacting. Notice the story your mind wants to tell, how it might exaggerate the problem or assume there's no way out. Then gently ask, is there another way to see this? What might this circumstance be teaching me? As you cultivate this mindset, you become less reactive and more responsive. You create space to see not only the difficulty but also the possibility within it. When you reframe challenges as paths, you begin to appreciate the richness of the journey itself. Buddhism emphasizes that life is impermanent and ever-changing. Joy and sorrow flow hand in hand. By embracing this fluidity, you're no longer a passive victim of circumstances, but an active participant in your own awakening. You start to notice how each trial refines your character, strengthens your patience, and enlarges your capacity for compassion. Even when the path feels treacherous, when heartbreak, illness, or failure looms large, you can walk it with intention, knowing that every step brings valuable insight. Over time, this practice of reframing becomes second nature. If you are still enjoying our content, please like or subscribe to the channel. Difficult situations no longer paralyze you, but invite you to step forward with curiosity. Worry loses its power because you're no longer obsessed with trying to avoid discomfort. Instead, you're focused on learning from it. You trust that every problem, no matter how daunting, holds a lesson that will guide you toward greater clarity and inner peace. In this way, Buddhism transforms suffering into a powerful teacher, showing you that what you once viewed as a closed door was simply an invitation to discover a new path. Fear often thrives in uncertainty. Imagine standing at the edge of a dark forest, not knowing what lies within. Your mind conjures every possible danger, and your heart pounds with apprehension. In Buddhism, faith, sometimes called saddha in the Pali language, is not blind belief, but an inner confidence rooted in experience. It's the light that helps you move forward even when you cannot see the entire path. When hard times darken your outlook, faith becomes a shield, allowing you to stand tall amidst uncertainty. First, understand that fear often arises because the mind tries to predict outcomes it cannot control. When you ask, "What if I fail?" or "What if my worst nightmare comes true?" you are projecting possible futures onto a blank screen. Buddhism teaches that this projection is like watching a scary movie in your mind. Your imagination often creates the scariest story. If you like this content, please remember to like or subscribe. Faith steps in to remind you that you don't have to know the ending before taking the first step. By doing small things like pausing to feel your breath or recalling times when you overcame challenges, you slowly build trust inside that life can guide you wisely even if you don't know every answer. Next, see that faith grows from real experience, not just from motivational words. Think back to moments in your life when you faced struggles, maybe an unexpected illness, a broken relationship, or money problems, and still found a way forward. Notice how even when the solution wasn't clear, you discovered strength within, resilience, creativity, or received help from friends or even strangers. These moments show that support is always around, sometimes from your own heart, sometimes from the world outside. By remembering them, you water the seed of faith. If I managed before, I can trust myself to face uncertainty again. Another way Buddhism builds faith is through the idea of impermanence, anicca. Everything changes, including your situation, emotions, and even your body. When you realize that no painful moment lasts forever, you start trusting the natural flow of life. Just like storms always pass, your present difficulties will fade too. Accepting this truth doesn't mean you give up. Instead, you see that both good and bad times come and go. With this awareness, you can rest more peacefully in the present, knowing that today's fear will not remain. We hope you consider subscribing, to help our channel grow. Faith also grows through community and the guidance of wise teachers, whether from scriptures, meditation guides, or supportive friends. In early Buddhist communities, people gathered to listen to the Buddha's teachings and share their experiences. This shared faith reminds you that you are never alone in your struggles. Others have walked similar journeys, found healing, and discovered peace. When you hear stories of monks who stayed calm during crisis or of practitioners who turned pain into compassion, it plants a seed in your heart. If they managed it, maybe I can too. These examples strengthen your belief that both change and healing are possible. Buddhism also teaches that faith and effort always go together. Faith is not about waiting for miracles, but about actively taking part in practice. Even a single sincere breath taken as a step in meditation can deepen your conviction. When fear grips your mind, you can remind yourself, I trust that by returning to my breath, I will find clarity. Each time you do this, every moment you choose mindfulness instead of panic, you make the bridge between fear and faith stronger. With time, that bridge becomes so steady that fear no longer controls you when uncertainty appears. Think about how faith transforms your relationship with fear. Rather than seeing fear as an enemy to fight, you start to see it as a guide showing where greater trust or wisdom is needed. When fear arises, pause and ask, what is this fear trying to teach me? It may uncover hidden attachments, quiet worries, or forgotten dreams. Faith allows you to meet that message with curiosity instead of avoidance. You may discover that beneath the fear lies a longing for meaning, a need for connection, or a wish to live in harmony with your true values. In this way, faith becomes the remedy for fear, not because it magically erases all anxiety, but because it teaches you to respond differently. With faith, you notice fear is there and still decide to move ahead. You trust that each breath, each moment of awareness, will give you the clarity you need. As faith deepens over time, you'll notice that fear slowly loses its power to freeze you. Instead, it turns into a gentle reminder encouraging you to gather your strength, call on your inner courage, and step with confidence into the unknown. In the end, these 7 lessons are more than just teachings, they are practical reminders that you can shift the way you respond to fear and hardship. Your thoughts are not always facts, the present moment is the only thing you truly have. You may not be able to control everything, but you can always choose your response. With practice, every painful moment has added to your resilience. Not every disturbance needs your reaction. Every challenge has something to teach you. And faith, built on remembering your past strengths and trusting in impermanence, will support you whenever fear appears. As you practice these teachings, you slowly move from being controlled by outside situations to feeling steady in your own inner wisdom. Worry may still come, but it no longer needs to stay. You learn to sit with uncertainty, breathe through it, and keep moving forward with calm confidence. May these principles serve as a guide whenever life feels too heavy. Come back to them as often as needed. Read them, reflect on them, and let them lead you back to peace. If this helps you improve your life, please subscribe to the channel to help others improve their lives too. By doing so, you will see that even in the hardest times, your heart can stay open, your mind clear, and your spirit continue to grow. Thank you for watching Wisdom and Wealth. If these lessons resonated with you, take a moment now to breathe deeply, appreciate your journey, and step gently into what comes next.